Heads up, folks, got a special video for you here today. I was recently browsing around on the marketplace and noticed that there was a Mass Effect 2 DLC. Wondering what it was, I checked it out. It was called Genesis. And instead of adding new content to the game, what it does is it's an interactive comic made by Dark Horse that basically points you to, or gets you through all the main events of Mass Effect 1 in about 15 minutes, letting you make the vital choices along the way. I'd recorded this video earlier, but something screwed up with the audio between the Dazzle and the 360. It worked fine between the other systems, but for some reason it didn't want to work with this. So after reconnecting everything a bunch of times, everything seems to be working now. So here we go. Let's get this started. I'm going to try and keep commentary to a minimum, but I wasn't able to do that last time, so I doubt I will this time. So anytime I need to stop and say something, I'm just going to hit the blade button here, and then, yeah, that's it. Let's go. Takes a little bit to load up. Mass Effect Genesis.
Just another routine mission.
Yep.
Why do they always say that before a mission? Of course it's routine. You haven't done anything yet. It's everything that happens along the way. The choices you make, the paths you choose.
Oh yeah.
That turn the routine into anything but. Of course, that's how it started. A routine mission. Answering a distress call. And look where that got me.
You got fucked.
We were testing out the Normandy, Captain Anderson's new ship, when the distress call came in. An Alliance patrol on Eden Prime had been attacked.
Uh-oh.
They'd seen something they couldn't explain. And whatever it was massive. I hit the ground with my lieutenant, Caden Olenko. A good kid, loyal, by the book, with a talent for biotics.
Quick note here. Shepard refers to Olenko as a good kid. From everything I've read, Olenko is older than Shepard. If I'm not mistaken, at the beginning of Mass Effect 1, Shepard is, 29, and Olenko is 32, and he's calling Olenko a kid. So either the stuff I read is messed up, or this is just an oversight, I guess. Anyway.
We came across the lone survivor of the patrol, Gunnery Chief Ashley Williams. A soldier to the core. Tough, disciplined, ready to take on whatever came her way.
And she's a
Ashley
total
joined
bitch.
up with us and took us to the spot where she lost her squad. That's when we saw it. The ship. Like nothing I'd ever seen. It was massive, scorching the colony and everything around it as it blasted away.
That's not good.
We followed the path of destruction to an artifact. A beacon left by a long-dead race called the Protheans. The colony had dug it up, and whoever attacked them had tried to take it. Chief Williams made the mistake of getting too close.
Oops.
It hit her with some type of energy. I grabbed her and threw her out of the way. That's when it hit me. Hard.
That was a mistake. Now, that changes if you're a female Shepard. I should also mention, this whole interactive comic takes place right after the point in the intro when Shepard gets spaced. So, and the only way you can access this comic even then is by picking or choosing to select choosing to start a brand new character and not importing a character over from Mass Effect 1 for obvious reasons.
Muscle in my body went rigid. I couldn't move, could barely breathe. Everything went black. And then I saw something. A vision.
A vision.
Dream.
Dream.
Nightmare.
Nightmare.
By the time I woke up, we were halfway to the Citadel on our way to meet the Council.
Oh goody.
I was expected to explain what I'd seen. Anderson came along. So did Adina, our political representative on the Citadel. With those two heavyweights, it seemed reasonable we could persuade the Council that the ship we'd seen was a potential threat.
Seemed.
As was the individual behind the attacks.
But no.
The main suspect for the Eden Prime massacre was a Turian Spectre named Saren.
Jerk.
He'd been seen by one of the survivors from the colony at Eden Prime. And there was some evidence to suggest that the ship was connected to Saren. But even Adina's pointed accusations weren't enough to convince the Council.
Look at the fist.
They just couldn't believe one of their chosen elite Spectres could be guilty of something like that.
He's angry.
They needed proof. Which meant I needed proof.
that sorry doing the West Side
I
thing?
wasn't alone in my search. Garrus, another Turian, wanted to help. A top agent for Citadel Security. Despite orders from his superiors that he shouldn't get involved, he told me he was suspicious of Saren, and he had some useful leads. More importantly, he was willing to share them.
Nice
that
guy.
led me to Rex, the biggest, nastiest-looking Krogan bounty hunter I'd ever seen. He turned out to be more than just a brute. It was his intel that led to a fugitive with incriminating evidence on Saren. The
Awesome.
fugitive turned out to be an energetic little Quarian named Tali.
Ha-cha-cha.
A tech expert with a knack for hacking. She'd procured some information on Saren.
If you know what he means.
Evidence that proved Saren was dirty.
And she looks good in the environmental suit.
Tali's evidence proved that Saren was responsible for the massacre on Eden Prime, and that the immense warship we'd spotted was in fact Saren's flagship.
Aha!
But it went much further.
Much.
Saren was trying to find a way to bring back a race of sentient machines from dark space. Machines allegedly responsible for cleansing the galaxy of all organic life.
Uh-oh.
These Reapers were blamed for wiping out all life 50,000 years ago,
It's a long
including the
time.
Protheans, then disappearing back through the mass relays to dark space, leaving no trace they'd ever been.
They got bored.
That explained why Saren was after the beacon, and it made some sense out of my visions. But not much else.
Not much.
We couldn't convince the Council that the Reapers were a threat, but they agreed Saren had to be stopped.
You see up there in the
They
top left
stripped them of
corner?
the Spectre
Doesn't it
status
look
and
like
gave me
there's a
the honor of
Solarian with
becoming
the party?
first human Spectre.
I assume that's the party.
My first
anyway,
task? Bring down
Fuck, find
Saren. Anderson decided to stay behind, giving up his ship,
Decided
the
to.
Normandy. He told me I would need it more than he would. He also pointed me in a direction.
Forced retirement? What's that?
Liara, a Prothean expert, adept in biotics, and maybe most importantly, daughter of Benezia, Saren's top
And the
lieutenant.
object of more fan fiction
And
than
like
you'll ever
most
believe.
Asari, as beautiful as she is intelligent, and born with a unique ability to meld with other species. Liara was able to help me decipher some of the vision the beacon had given me. Nothing concrete,
Nah.
but it gave me some clues,
Some.
and a new appreciation for the Asari.
He's got a boner for them.
Her technique for accessing my vision was unexpected, but not at all unpleasant.
A big one.
Ashley was a little concerned about the connection I shared with Liara.
Somebody's
As
jealous.
commander, I knew either relationship had the potential to interfere with the mission.
Now, here's the first choice that you can make in Genesis. Basically, you're choosing who you want to keep a relationship with through Mass Effect 2 and 3. Although if you choose Ash, you don't have much. It doesn't have much to do with Mass Effect 2. It affects like one scene and that's it. Liara will actually join the party at some point if you have the Shadow Broker DLC. But yeah, if you want to have a relationship with someone from Mass Effect 2 without there being any consequences of a broken relationship from Mass Effect 1, choose the mission comes first. So if you're a tally man like me, you say no to both of these and you say mission comes first. So let's do that.
I decided discretion was the better part of valor.
Always
Kept
is.
my focus on our goal, finding Saren.
Actually looks very Japanese.
Thanks to Liara's help, we had our next lead, Benezia.
Now, here's another thing. I forgot to mention this earlier. When they said that Anderson pointed him in the direction of Liara, that's true, but it's not necessarily the first thing you have to do. You can do the events on Noveria or Pharaohs first if you so choose. But I guess for story's sake, they're getting the last party member first, so yeah.
Saren had taken her to Noveria, where he'd enslaved a dangerous race of insect-like creatures, the Rachni. He ordered Benezia to use the same technique Liara had used on me to extract information from the Rachni Queen. The Queen's drones were everywhere, and they weren't happy.
Not at all.
We had to fight through hundreds of them to get to Benezia. By the time we arrived, Saren was gone. With the information. I tried to reason with Benezia, but Saren had indoctrinated her. He had somehow acquired the ability to control people's actions and wills. Benezia wouldn't surrender, and Liara was forced to watch her mother die in her arms.
Now, that doesn't necessarily have to happen either. That's a little minor point in the story. If you don't bring Liara along, she just dies, and that's about it.
And I was left with an angry, dangerous Rachni Queen to deal with. She claimed her drones would do no harm if I released her. but the Rachni had terrorized the galaxy before.
Now, for those who don't know, the Rachni were a race of bug-like creatures that, well, look like that had threatened the galaxy at one point. They had pushed back all the other races until finally the Solarians had the bright idea of lifting the Krogan to the stars, equipping them for battle, and unleashing them upon the Rachni. Now, the Krogan were thought to have caused a complete and utter extinction of the Rachni, and they were heralded as heroes. However, eventually, relations broke down, and, well, we'll get their present a little bit later. Now, for this, this has almost nothing to do with Mass Effect 2, but it's apparently going to make a huge difference in Mass Effect 3. If you choose to save the Queen, you'll get like a little cutscene on Ilium concerning this. Other than that, that's about it. Being the good guy that I am, I'm going to choose save the Queen. Oh, and the reason that they say they're not violent or whatever, or they promise to be good or whatever, they said that something had soured their song, which is basically something corrupted them and made them want to fight against their will. One can assume that this was Reaper indoctrination. So, yeah, let's give them another chance.
I couldn't do it. I wouldn't doom an entire species for past sins. And the Queen was true to her word. She left and took her army of drones with her.
Get out.
With
Get out
Saren's
right now.
top lieutenant dead, he was quickly running out of time and places to hide. I tracked him down at his base on Vermeer.
Now, here's another point. Vermeer is a mission that pops up after you do 2 of the 3 main missions. Now, you can either go do it immediately, or you can do the other mission first. Say, like they did. If you did, if you went to go get Liara first and then do Noveria, you could then either do Vermeer or you can do Pharos. Which, by the way, Pharos is not mentioned in this comic for the simple reason that nothing that happens in it is of any great consequence later on. It's a small colony, so it would have no effect in Mass Effect 3 and when it comes to gathering forces or whatever to fight the Reaper, so that's a non-factor. The only thing that seems to affect is some of the news reports in Mass Effect 2 when they talk about how well Exogeny is doing. If you save the colony, it makes Exogeny look good because they start investing in it. If they don't survive, it makes Exogeny look bad, and I think maybe they go bankrupt or something. I don't know, but yeah.